Hey folks, welcome back to my Best of Publishers series, and today we're talking about Looney Labs. Now Looney Labs has been around for a long time. The Andrew Looney, who is the founder, and his wife Kristen, who runs the company, they kind of live up to their name. They show up at conventions in white lab coats. Andrew Looney will do crazy things like play a whole bunch of people at a whole pile of his different games at one time. They're known for a lot of things, making small games for the most part, small silly games. They're probably best known for two different things. One is Flux, the game of changing rules, and the other is the Ice House Pyramids, in which you can use those to make a wide variety of games. Now, I'm not a huge fan of many of the games that they make. I find them either too random or too light, but they have made a lot of great games. So let's go with my 10 favorite. Number 10 being Choose One. Now, Choose One is kind of one of those things, would you rather eat sandpaper or a pile of nails? But Choose One is more, I guess, nicer than that. It's more of a hamburger or a hot dog, and people are trying to guess what the person is going to pick. And these games can get very dark very quickly, but not this one that Looney Labs made, so I like it. Number 9 is Chrononauts. Now, don't get me wrong, I think I like the idea of Chrononauts more than the actual game. Chrononauts is a game in which you have a timeline in front of you of different events that happen in history, and you are trying to collect a few cards. You get certain cards and you win the game. How you collect those cards and what cards you need to collect are going to change from game to game and even during the course of the game itself. But what's fascinating is you're trying to flip different events in time period, like maybe Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, or maybe he wasn't. But some events are linchpins, and when they get flipped, it might affect other events and cause those other events to change. And I find that part of the game fascinating. Unfortunately, on top of that, you're just collecting cards to see who wins. But a very cool idea, and they did early American Chrononauts and things like that. It is really cool, historical. Number 8 is Werewolf. There's a lot of different werewolves from different companies, and so I love Werewolf across the board, so I got to give Looney Labs credit for having their own version of Are You a Werewolf type games. Mafia, some people have played. The idea of sitting around in a circle trying to figure out who is lying right to your face is always fun. I just got back from Dice Tower Con, and it was being played all night there. A great game, Werewolf. Number 7 is Lunacy. Lunacy is kind of a speed game where you're trying to match cards as quickly as you can, but it works really well, especially with kids. There's even an ugly doll Lunacy, again, trying to match, and you're looking at the cards that are out there and stuff. I like the idea of the game. There's a lot of speed games, and this one works well. Number 6 is the Flux board game. I actually like the Flux board game better than Flux for the most part. I'm not a big fan of Flux. You're not going to see it on my list, kind of. You'll see. But rotating the board and moving pieces on the board and going around felt a bit more tactical and a bit more enjoyable. Actually, a lot more bit. I thought it was a much more fun game. Number 5 is Are You the Traitor? Now, this is a small, short game. Now, this was out before the vast, a lot of games, social deduction style games that are out there. Werewolf and things like Werewolf was the original one, but now there's like 3 coming out per month. This is one of the earlier ones, came out several years ago, and just played really well. You're just trying to figure out, you're the traitor, point at some people. It was a very quick one of these social deduction games, which made me enjoy it. Number 4 is Just Desserts. I won't lie, part of the reason this one's higher up there is because I really like dessert. And in this one, you are trying to collect different types of desserts to then fulfill these customers who are coming in and want a very specific type of dessert. I have it for them. Number 3 is Flux. Not really, it's Math Flux. This is a specific kind of flux, and this is when you use one of the rules in the game that they added where you are using the numbers. Now, if you've never played Flux, Flux is a game where the rules change. At the beginning of the game, you are drawing a card, and there's no victory conditions, but eventually victory conditions show up, or there is victory conditions and they'll change. Players are going to change the victory conditions. They'll change how many cards you draw, how many cards you play. The rules will change over the course of the game, but in Math Flux, in most Fluxes, you're just trying to get different keepers and different cards that will help you win. Like I have cake and I have ice cream, I win. Well, in this one now, you need to get numbers, but you can add those numbers and multiply them to get to the thing you want. And that made the game infinitely more interesting to me, Math Flux. Number 2, now some people might say I'm cheating here, but this is definitely a legit thing you can buy, and that's Pyramid Arcade. Pyramid Arcade is phenomenal. Now, granted, when you buy Pyramid Arcade, you are buying literally hundreds of games. there's a lot of different packs of things that you can get. The piece pack games where you get a bunch of pieces and you get games of them. And most of the time I find that they fail, but Pyramid Arcade works really well. It's piles and piles of these little plastic pyramids that Looney Labs makes and that they're well known for. They make all sorts of pyramids. They got regular pyramids, translucent pyramids, black, white, green. This packs a whole pile of them into one box and then gives you a rule book with a pile of games. And there's a lot of games. Some of them are better than others, but there's dexterity games, abstract strategy games, a war game, real-time games. And then you can go online and find even more. And this is phenomenal. I have it in my collection. I love the idea of all these pyramids to begin with, but there's also a lot of games here, and I can take this with me somewhere and know I got a lot of really fun games. Again, not all the games are great to me, but enough of them are good that the whole box transcends that. Fantastic Pyramid Arcade. And then specifically, my number one is Zendo. Now actually, a new version of Zendo is coming out, I think next year maybe, but Zendo was a game that was originally played with pyramids, although the new version will have different shaped pieces. And in Zendo, one person is thinking of a rule. Like the rule might be, you have to have 3 blue pyramids in front of you. And so I have 3 blue pyramids, 2 pink and a green. And the next person's like, okay, that's correct. And then the next one shows 2 blue pyramids, a pink and a green. And you're like, and that one's incorrect. Well, that's pretty obvious what the difference is. But it's not always so obvious. And players will go around a table asking, making a collection of things and saying, does this fit your rule? And then you say yes or no. Or you can say, I know what the rule is, which is a fascinating, you're trying to guess and figure out what the rule is. And the rules can be very simple. It could be all the pieces need to be laying down, that there are 2 different color pieces. That's the simple rule, right? But the rules can also get more complex, which makes the game a lot harder too. Love this game. It's deep, it's thinky, it's entertaining, it's Zendo. So those are my favorite Looney Lab games. I really love the people at Looney Labs. They are some of the most fun, enjoyable people you ever will meet. They were on the Dice Tower cruise last year and just did a great job at showing off all kinds of fun games that you could play there, and that was just a blast. So I wish them continued success, and we'll see what they come out in the future. Tell me what your favorite Looney Labs games are down in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Best of Publishers, Looney Labs.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.